The atmosphere was great. You know, there was noise at times. I thought our guys handled it really well. I think slowly but surely on offense, you know, we're handling that better. You know, and we check a lot of plays, which makes it more difficult rather than just running what we see. And I thought they did a good job handling the noise. But, you know, it's always, you know, when those momentum swings come, you feel it, and it makes a difference. But I thought the guys, for the most part, did a good job handling it. And like I told you before, I mean, they'd much rather play in that than, you know, the other type of environment where there's not a lot going on.
What did you see on Jake's?
Well, he just he was all over it right away. I mean, he knew exactly what happened, and you know, Utah did a nice job of dropping guys into coverage, and he was trying to fit the ball right in the seam, and came right off and said I should look the safety harder off to fit it in there, but it came out of his hand really quick. He thought he was going to get it in there, but he needed to move to safety, and you know, I got him.
Yeah. How do you think Jake did as far as his decision-making overall?
I thought he was good. You know, when you talk about decision-making with him, we're talking about a lot of stuff now. I mean, we're talking about changing plays and then where he's going with the ball and when to scramble and all those things. So I thought he was pretty good. You know, Utah did a good job. They did a nice job of mixing coverages, and you knew they would. You know, UCLA threw for some yards, and so they weren't going to come back and allow that to happen. And so, you know, between the, you know, us running the ball, and which we did, and trying to stay semi-balanced, you know, it was okay, you know.
Disguises that they did that throw him off a bit? Was he hesitating?
No, he knew exactly what was going on. They held their disguise, which they did before we played them. They would hold them. They were good at holding them till ball snapped, and then they'd, you know, get to where they need to be. But I don't think he was confused one time. Yeah.
Could you comment on the play of Nick Harris, how well he did in the game?
Yeah, Nick battled. He did a good job. You know, he's still learning. He's still learning our system. He's still learning, you know, the game. He'll get bigger and stronger, you know, as we go through the years. But he's athletic and he competes hard. And like I said, I think he's also a smart guy that will learn the nuances. You know, he's still learning some of the basics of what we do. And you know, when he learns, when it's in his blood more, and he can not think so much and just react, it's going to be really, really good. But I think each week is better for him, and to get all those significant reps is going to really help him and us down the road for sure.
Could you talk about the stresses on the offensive line when you start to have to rotate different guys in, and you know, you're asking a true freshman to do that in that type of environment, and you have to have the next guy up at left guard, for instance, and all those different things?
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's something we deal with every year, moving guys around. I think Coach Strasser always does a great job with cross-training guys, and you know, it's one thing to play. You know, we've had guys play, you know, guard and tackle, and those are, you know, left and right side, which that feels different. And so I think he does a good job preparing for that. I mean, I think you look back, way back when, early in the season, when we decided to play Nick, you know, kind of preparing for a situation like this, that hopefully you can get him reps as it goes, and he builds, you know, his repertoire of how to play, and then you get into game, whatever it is, 8, and he's ready to really go in there and compete and do a good job. And so, I mean, that's what every coach needs to do at every position. You know, it's just, you just don't have your starters. It's just, if you do, you're just flat out lucky. And so you're really that too deep, and whatever your best too deep is, whether it's in the secondary as you're cross-training corners and safeties and nickels and all those things. I mean, it's just like, that's what, a lot of work going on behind the scenes that you don't really see, and might not even see on game day until you need it, and then away you go.
Can you, from your vantage point now that you've seen the tape, can you talk a little bit about Dante's return?
Yeah, I thought he just, you know, made a heck of an individual effort. You know, it was just interesting because their punter is really good and such a powerful leg. And not only does he, kick it far, he gets that hang time that gives those guys a chance to cover. And that's just such a unique combination. I mean, just a powerful leg. So we were getting nothing. And, I think Dante stepped out of, 3 potential tackles, kind of ran through 3 different things. And we talk about that a lot as in the return game. I mean, every now and again, they'll kick something that's kind of a miss hit and you catch it and there's not a lot, you're just kind of lucky, they got a wall set up or guys are kind of misplaced because the kick's not good, but this kick was pretty good. And I think 3 different tackles he stepped through and, what a great time for that to happen.
What are the qualities you identified in Dante early as a returner? I mean, obviously you coached those guys.
Well, he didn't have any. I just really coached him up on all those great qualities. I think one thing is he surprised me as a returner because what I really look for is a guy that's just really sure-handed and a really good decision maker that we and I really trust. I think there's just a lot more to it back there. I think it's different than a kick returner. And, we have our own little special, group back there as punt returners that it's like only certain guys are. And so there's a lot going on, especially when you factor wind in, because there was some wind on that field. It was a swirling wind, and then the way he kicked the ball. I mean, it was a tough day in terms of that. And so for him to come through like he did was really kind of cool.
Why is that important to you? How long have you been involved? Specifically in that. That's the only position you were.
Yeah, since I've been a head coach, it's like I needed to do one thing, and so nobody really knew much or paid much attention to just put the best athlete back there and hopefully he catches it. And, so with time on my hands, we've studied a little bit more. And it's so much God-given skill and natural ability. But with punt return, I mean, really the first thing is like just how natural they are catching the ball. Like, is there a naturalness to them? And he has that. And then just those smart, crafty type players that can make good decisions. And there's a few technique things that we work on every single day, and then we let those guys go.
Does Azim get to cash in any of his Player of the Week awards to get out of his push-ups?
It's already done. Already over and done.
Blocks in the back on that.
Did I see what?
Blocks in the back on that return.
On the return, there were some close calls, but that's the game. There's a lot of close calls on about every play. And so, to answer your question, no.
Is there anything that a player can say to you to excuse the personal foul?
Well, there's some personal fouls that, I mean, it's not always just black and white, and we always pay attention to that. Now, usually it's like, really? Did that need to happen? I mean, usually, but not always. And so, so I mean, we pay attention. We're never going to be just black and white. And sometimes, there's playing hard penalties. A guy gets a face mask. I mean, those things happen. Guys playing hard and you get your hand. It's completely different than kind of losing our poise and crossing the line, those type of things. And, it's hard stuff because we want those kids playing right there to the edge. And they have to play this game emotional, and it is emotional. But you can play too emotional for sure. And, I think that was a little bit of the case with our defense for a lot of the game. That wasn't one of our better, defensive games. And so, I think it was a big game, an important game to those guys. And sometimes the energy level can be too high and trying too hard. We've talked about that before.
Is that just in general terms a situation where you would rather just have the referees just kind of try and squash that stuff before they throw a flag, or you want to just get the flag out and just kill it right away? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they got to make, I don't know, exactly what happened and what was said, but when they throw a flag, that's on us. I mean, we're crossing the line.
You mentioned the defense overall. What did you take on just the run defense, just a general perspective, considering what that guy did?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, we need to give credit where credit is due. I mean, It's not just out of the blues. I mean, that's a good offensive line, and that's a very good running back. And so that combination is always gonna get their yards. But again, I think we didn't play as well as we could and have played. I thought we were out of our gaps sometimes. We missed some tackles that we probably should make. A combination of those type of things,
Seen the team get better the last couple of years, few years. You've had him at that, finding that balance or trying to play 1 inch out of control.
Yeah, I do think that, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's not like something you can just talk about and they get. And so it's like everything. You work through it and you're trying to improve on that. And some guys, just how they're wired, it's going to be more challenging than others. And so I do think he pays much closer attention to it, and I think we're making progress. But those are critical situations. We kept drive alive 2 different times on 2 penalties like that really shouldn't happen. Really can be backbreaking type penalties.
What's the coaching point for Solom on that roughing the passer call?
They're always sensitive around the quarterback. There's just no need for that. They might not, that one, they're probably not going to call half the time, and then the other half they do call. And so let's not put it in their hands.
Hey, Pete, you detailed what you want in a punt returner. What do you like in a kickoff returner? What are you looking for there?
John Ross.
So what makes him so good at it?
He's got pretty good vision, and he's got good courage, and he's fast. So those are always good combinations. The hard thing with that is we're not getting a lot to, we just don't get many chances. We just don't. And when we do, you hope the guys up front give him a little space, and if he does that, he's going to get something done. We just have not had many chances.
What do you think about the talk about them eliminating kickoffs in college football because of injuries?
Yeah, I think that's something that continually needs to be looked at and studied. Be curious after this year to see how many injuries showed up on that, and if the data's skewed that this is a really dangerous play, then we got to do what we got to do to make this game safer. I'm always one of those guys to continually evolve and tweak and make things better.
Chris, now that you've gotten this game out of your guys' system and have gone through that kind of gauntlet, is there a silver lining to going right back out on the road, or does that make it especially challenging having to go right back out on the road?
No, I would look at it how you first said it. I think it's good. We just went on the road and in a tough environment, and so it feels a lot different playing at home than on the road. And so to go right back into another environment, I think that's that can be a positive. And the team that we're playing, Cal, is good at home, like most are. And so I think that's, if we got to go on the road to go back to back, I think is okay.
Miles maybe didn't have the numbers those first few games of the season. What's kind of, I guess, clicked for him this run he's been on these last few weeks?
Yeah, I think opportunities and touches and combinations of the O-line, doing a little better, and getting into a rhythm. And so when the O-line's covering guys up, he's going to find creases, and then when they don't, that happened a couple times. He's getting positive things, and he can make a guy miss or run through a tackle. I think it always comes back to kind of that rhythm and that flow of being able to stay on the field and keep giving him the ball.
Got pretty unique patience, I guess. How do you teach that, or is that just something that's kind of innate?
Yeah. Again, we'd love to say we do, but I think it's very innate. I think that comes with vision. I think every back is a little bit different in their vision, and some, are really, you can see their patience, and some other guys hit the hole quicker, and that's just their style. But I think one of the common themes on these really good backs is they all have really good vision. That hole changes very fast, and where it's designed to hit, half the time is not exactly there.
Your evaluation of the offensive play calling so far this year, and maybe how that's either improved, if it has, or evolved since these last 2 years?
I think Jonathan's been excellent, and like I said last year, there's always some guys who are going to take arrows, and maybe undeservedly so. And I thought that last year because we had so many young guys at so many critical positions that at times we were explosive and at times we were inconsistent. And so that's, whether you're pointing at the quarterback or whether you're pointing at the head coach, which that's usually probably deserved so, but, the coordinator, he's a good coach. He's a good play caller. I think everybody's seeing that now. But one guy can't do it himself. It doesn't, it always comes back to the players, and our credit is to the players. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. Those kids are executing at a high level, but he didn't all of a sudden become a good play caller.
How much of that does Jake's evolution and like you guys have said, putting more on his table pre-snap, and how much does that help that entire process?
I think so. I think it does. But again, I think that goes back a lot, again, that Jake can handle all those things, but credit to Jonathan to be able to teach him that and to be able to get all those things done. And if he couldn't handle that, we wouldn't do all that stuff. We'd do something different that I still think we'd be successful in a different way. If Jake wasn't, our quarterback's not capable of getting in and out of that stuff, because I will tell you, it's a lot. And there's certain things it's like, we push it right to the edge on how much we can do with these guys without slowing them down. And I think he's got a good balance there of how much he gives them.
Chris, you mentioned last week about you expected Mathis back at some point. It was the same thing with Eldrin Camp. Does that seem like a shorter-term deal for him?
Yeah, again, I think these guys are all week to week, and we mean that sincerely. Sometimes it's 3 weeks, but it really is week to week. It just depends. We've had guys that are, they're practicing on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's looking pretty good, and on Thursday it's not quite as good. And it's like, let's set them back, but that's the nature of their deal right now.
Sonny Dykes, after their last game with USC, complained about the scheduling. I guess it was the first time in the history of the conference that a team was on a short week facing a team off a bye. Does that seem like maybe going too far when it comes to scheduling? Would you agree with that?
I think scheduling is really, really hard. But I also do think, in general, playing on a short week is really hard too. It's a tough situation. I get it on both ends. It's that Rubik's Cube trying to solve this, who gets a bye when, who doesn't, who's off, short week, TV dictates so much. It's crazy. But I think it's really hard playing on a short week when both teams have it. You hate to do that to the kids. When we just, I guess we had the Friday game, and you could feel that. And we have another one coming up down the road. You certainly feel that. And so I think that's hard.
Brought up the talk again of the 9-game conference schedule. Do you think there needs to be uniformity across the board, at least among the power conferences, that everyone's playing the same amount of conference games?
I think so. And I know everybody's conference is different, but I think you just kind of look at the NFL. That's one thing. It's pretty cut and dry. There's only 32, but everybody's doing the same thing. And so how can you make it as much the same thing? Well, let's play the same amount of conference games at least. At least we're on the same page there.
Is there any talk about stopping the short week thing, or is that just off the table?
I haven't even heard one peep out of that, TV just drives so many things around here, and I haven't heard it.
So. Would you like to see teams and conferences have more control over kickoff times and not let TV dictate all that?
Well, we get how important TV is in this day and age, but I think you ask every coach, every player, every fan, that really is going to games. We all prefer Saturday at 1 o'clock. I don't think there's much variation there. But that's just not the world we live in, and so it is what it is.
Have you seen the video of Marshawn riding the golf cart around?
I remember it way back when. I sure do. And I think we got the guy hanging out with us that coached him up on how to drive a golf cart in our offices. So, talk to him.
Has anybody approached you guys about Jeff? About his future at all? Or? There were some reports about teams going after him.
Oh, this guy's a big-time coach. He's going to go coach somewhere. There's no question. Like I said, we're lucky to have him here with us right now, and I think it's awesome. I think he's enjoying his time here with us, and likewise, like I've spoke before, we really all enjoy him, and I really appreciate him. But he's going to go coach somewhere for sure.
Is there any reason to think that he won't be here with you guys through this this season?
Who knows? I mean, you never know how these things go. But, hey, in everything we do, we just live week to week, so that's how we do it.
Well done.
Okay, happy Halloween.